Ah, I am definitely going to have to figure out how to get some music on the stream because I like these beats. Good morning to everyone. Hello to Robert William, and hey, it's Marcus. There we go. Hey, how's it going this morning? Or afternoon for you, even. Yeah. Oh, your mic's not on yet. That's all right. We'll get it there. There you go. I learned how to make everything transparent so that way when we're on the side, people don't get covered up by the title. Morning, Eddie. It's morning for you for sure. All right. So while Marcus gets the microphone working, let's start with the fun one. Well, not really a fun one, but a bit of trivia news, however you want to call it. We're going to start with the Model 3 and Model Y have taken number 1 and number 2 for another world record month in electric vehicle sales. All right, let's clear that. And so here we've got Tesla sales, SAIC, Volkswagen, BYD, and Stellantis. Impressive. And then they go in and they talk about how they got their numbers, which I thought was pretty cool. Because then when you break it out even further, your Model Y is at 36,000, and your Model 3 is at 70,000. The Model Y is accelerating like crazy, and that is impressive. We've got a lot more about Model 3 and Model Y later in the show, but I figured that was a good start. You got your mic working, Marcus?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
There you go. We hear you now. What do you think about this?
Oh, yeah. It was nice, man. Hey, it's another impressive.
Absolutely.
Impressive.
Good evening, Anders. Robert Williams having dinner, as is Anders. I just had a light breakfast. It was I think I had cream of wheat. Yes. And then my sugar was dropping, so I ate a cookie. It's not the best solution, but it works.
I had two granola bars.
2 granola bars. There you go. That's a little bit better of a choice. It's longer lasting.
I'm on my race diet. I'm on my diet. I gotta lose some pounds. I don't want to have to gut my car all the way out. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, you're gonna jockey the car instead of ripping it apart.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think Brooks did do a jockey situation where he put in some guy who was like barely over 100 pounds, and he got some impressive numbers. So you guys might be asking this week about what about Story X or Story Y? I didn't get back home from dropping Luna at work in time to put any order to the stories, so they're pretty much in the order I found them in. So you'll notice, like for instance, I've got a couple SpaceX stories that are separated from the more recent SpaceX stories. Let's see, what is this one? So NIMBYism puts the kibosh on America's largest solar power plant. This was in one of them was going to be in Mormon Mesa, 149,000 acres of tableland, and it's not going to happen now. I would totally get it if it was making the air bad, or if it made noise, or like maybe if you were right next to the edge of the field and it was like reflecting in your house or something. But I don't understand why people can't just let other people be, especially if it's going to drop your power bill. But from what I understand, in Utah, the power is already quite inexpensive. But why not let it drop even further? Who likes paying bills? Oh, well. They'll be asking for it later. They'll be like, "Hey, I want some cheap power," and you'll be like, "Oh, sorry, it's in the next town over. You get to pay the tax." Yeah, I am. Oop, there we go. All right, so here's one of the first ones I was talking about. So SpaceX recently, sort of, attached the grid fins to the booster number 4, and booster number 4 will be coming back up several times throughout the show. And here you can see that the grid fins are closer together than they are on Falcon 9, and they don't fold down like they do on Falcon 9, which I thought was pretty interesting at first, but then I realized that you can just rotate these 90 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees, and they wouldn't be in the airflow as badly as they could be. And then somebody else pointed out that when they're folded down, they actually expose more surface area than if they are this way. So I didn't even think of that possibility, which was cool. Coming up next, this one was really fun to me because of what I drive. Somebody, I believe it was the Kilowatts, spotted a near production Model X Plaid. Well, one of them was the Kilowatts because it says several have been spotted across the US. And they're wearing the manufacturer tags. I do like these 22s better than all of the other 22s that Tesla's ever used on the Model X. I have never been a fan of that style that's on the current and previous ones. They changed them to black partway through, so you could pick silver or black, but that's still the Onyx wheels. I just not for me. I mean, they're not ugly, but
I meant to ask you that the other day, but I got sidetracked. I was going to text you actually what you think about the new wheels on the X.
They are much better, both the 20s and the 22s. I would probably still stick with 20s because it's looking like it's going to be the same situation as on my car, where if you pick the 22s, you lose towing capacity. And part of the reason we got the car was to be more versatile than our Model S. So that's why we didn't get the pretty seats. We got the ones that could fold over, because if you got the 6 seats, or if we'd got it earlier, the 7 seats that didn't fold, then our Model S would have had more cargo capacity. And then the ability to tow was important to us because we were going to start a Thai food truck and drag that around, but somebody quit their job before we saved up for both parts, so it didn't happen. But we have a nice little Model X either way. All right, let's see what we got here. So this is the 20-inch wheels. They look all right. I would probably prefer them in black, or gray, like I have with the Sonic Carbons. So I'd probably get them powder coated. And
yeah, I think a darker color make it look, tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, because that's how mine are. They're black, or not black. They're dark gray. And then here you can see the interior. Get the yoke. That looks so much better with the color matched side buttons. I put a carbon fiber wrap on mine. I really don't like the chrome T. They should have made that black too. That's an interesting diffuser. This looks like the Model Y diffuser. Did he do the nose? I guess the kid found it. Okay, so it's got a chrome on the nose, but I don't mind the chrome on the nose. I don't know why I don't like it on the back. Go back. Pause. Okay. No, we don't need to see any other videos. So, I don't know. This looks different. I don't really care for it, but it doesn't look bad. I do like that they have a common fog light now, but now it looks kind of empty because on the current Model X, you got like a J-shaped fog light. It's got the same headlights as today. That would look better if they were darker, but on a lighter car, like say if you get the white, that might look perfect. Although I've seen the Sonic Carbons in the Black Onyx 22s on the X as well, and they give it that Stormtrooper look, so it's not ugly. And this being body color would be nice. So I mean, on a black car it blends in, but on every other Model X, it looks like that same chunky fake plastic is on every other SUV.
Good point.
Yeah. But it's fun stuff. My goodness. They pay per quarter. I don't know. I think I prefer to pay every month than every 3 months.
Right. Right.
Yes. Although the solar bills are much nicer if you get an appropriately sized solar. So I don't know what happened there. We're just trying to advertise all my email addresses. We don't need that. So the
Hey, I must say I let my bill every month in the negative.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Out here in Texas, let's even run the AC.
Yes.
And charge my car. So
exactly. Yeah. So some months I would have a bill because the system was sized for a Chevy Volt, and the Model S was pretty efficient, but the Model X is the thirstiest EV on the planet. So, well, at least until the Hummer arrives. So the South China Morning Post is reporting that the Tesla Model Ys in Hong Kong and Macau are going to start next month, and it reveals the timetable for the full something of the SUV. Oh, I don't want to schedule a new one. I was clicking the share button. There we go. No, don't help me. Just show the article. All right, so we're looking at a Hong Kong $329,000 or 42 grand. That's not bad. And they are currently at 80% of the EVs in Hong Kong by the end of last year. And then you've got a guy preparing the Model 3, it looks like, for show in the Tesla showroom. It said table. I don't see a table. So yeah, you can read the article to build yourself a table. Then our friend Randy Popst has set a new record at Laguna Seca. He is within tenths of the McLaren Senna. Just solar, you pay monthly. Yeah, I don't understand why all these jurisdictions have against solar. I mean, obviously it's money, but I mean, the amount of people who are actually going solar is not a threat to them. I don't understand their problem. So, Unplugged Performance is quoted here. They said Tesla's Alien Technology, a new EV record at Laguna Seca, Dark Helmet, which is what they named their car. This one set a fastest production car record of 128.2. The next fastest is the McLaren Senna at 127.6. And it is modified. There's no interior. It's got different tires, different brakes, suspension, that sort of thing. The big wing. So I'm curious what that would do stock, and I'm also curious if the McLaren was stock or if it was just a production car. Because that does make a difference. Hopefully it was also modified, because then that doesn't allow people to... Yes. Yes, that's expensive. Okay, and then Teslarati noted that the original Tesla Secret Master Plan is now 15 years old, and they go through and they look and see how far we've come and what's been done and what is left to do. So the first 4 ones were build a sports car, and then use that money to build an affordable sports car or affordable car. So you got the original Tesla Roadster, then you got the Model S. Use that money to build an even more affordable car. That's the Model 3. While doing above, provide zero emission electric power generation options. They bought Solar City, and they're kind of doing all right on that. They're getting better. Model 3 took a lot of focus from the company, so Solar City didn't get the attention it needed. There's the sports car. There's the more affordable car. They got distracted, built a Model X, and then they built the even more affordable car, the Model 3. And they just because they haven't put all of the effort that they could into Solar City doesn't mean that they have stalled. Like they're on version 3 of the solar tile roof, and they just came out with was it 2 weeks ago or last week? They came out with the 420 watt retrofit panels. So, and then they also have the Powerwall Plus, which includes the inverter, and so now they don't even have to go inside your house to do a solar install anymore, which is cool. And then Elon was quoted on August 2nd of saying, "It's hard to believe it's been 15 years already. Those goals actually precede the creation of Tesla by many years. It goes back to probably 1992 when I was in college. However, at the time, I thought the chance of achieving those goals was low, to the point where he was actually looking at supercapacitors and a bunch of other stuff until he got put together with Eberhard and Tappering, and then became a founder through money." But we can't argue that he did a good job with the company. So, congrats, guys. Then we got another link to the Laguna Seca. It's only 0.6 per second, 0.6 seconds behind the McLaren. And then, as I said, out of order, or in order, but not the order you would expect. Let's take a look at the Starship Super Heavy again. So the grid fins were applied and painted, and then they had all 29 engines attached to it, which was fun. Beast. I kind of like these black and white photos. So somebody asked what the lighter colored bells are about, and those are the ones that haven't been static fired yet. All right, so then we've got some not so good news for the world of EVs. Yeah, there was a Model X in there, Dan. That's why I said that they got distracted, because the Model X wasn't on the master plan, and they don't have a Powerwall Plaid, just a Plus. I don't know that it needs to go fast. That's why there's no insane mode or ludicrous mode. So as I was saying, some not so good news in the world of EVs. Our friends at Byton are out of business. They have decided to shut down their business operations in China on July 1st due to financial struggles with its German and U.S. entities, and have filed for bankruptcy. Over 900 employees in China are being let go, and this all happened as capital raise didn't go through. First major EV startup in China to collapse, but not the U.S. Let me do something real quick here, and I didn't think to do this earlier. I want to see if this will translate. I'm gonna mute myself for a second. It didn't do what it did the other day. The other day I was speaking with my wife, and I had to convey a concept, and it's like, hey, do you want to just do it from the screen? And this time they just open the app instead. All right, so it says not Spanish, although. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I don't want it Chinese to Spanish. I was like, hey, that works out. And I was like, all right, so that's just them citing their source. They had an all hands meeting with 800 people, and then they explained that they went out of business. Cool. So they have a factory in Nanjing that was completed last May, and this guy Ray for Tesla is saying that a couple of items have made them fail, including vehicle design, an internal power struggle, and poor execution before their C funding failed. Somehow they're going to keep 100 employees. I guess that's shut down employees so that they can do an orderly exit. The Biden was actually one that I like the look of versus some of the others that remain. So sad to see them go, but at the same time, I also didn't actually think that they would make it very long. But I did hope to actually see them on the road. So we'll see what becomes of them. Warren Buffett did say how hard it is for companies to stay in business. Yeah. Elon elaborated that starting up and successfully reducing cars is incredibly difficult. Yes, yes. And as we saw, prototypes are somewhat easier than getting to serial production. So I like lunch. Who likes lunch? Got a couple of you guys eating dinner, so I imagine you guys like lunch as well. Volkswagen is going to offer free lunch with ID4. Tina Casey says there's no such thing as a free lunch. I'd say that's still not a free lunch if you have to buy a car to get it.
Right.
So they're going to give you free EV charging for a few years, and it becomes more clear that EV can be comparable to a gas mobile any day of the week. And not a bad deal. I mean, Tesla did that for a while. They were giving away charging, and it worked. It worked. I mean, we've proven that, if people know that they can go all their places without having to sacrifice, it becomes an easier sell to get people into the EVs. Like we just took a trip to Cape Cod. We only had to stop twice. and if we had a newer car, we would have only had to stop once. And the stops were incredibly short. They were like 5 minutes and 12 minutes. I mean, both times the car was texting, "Hey, you have enough to go on your trip? Come on, let's go." And we're like, "Well, we got to go to the bathroom. It's lunchtime. It's dinner time. Let's go." Do you think that Biden will come back like Fisker? That depends on how the Chinese handle IP, as far as if anybody's going to buy the name and the designs and bring them back. Because if they were any kind of ready for production, there's already a factory there. So if you can buy the factory, the designs, and then, because it sounds like they just needed the money to get to that next step. So if you have a company, or just the money to go on and get them over that next speed bump, if China works the way the U.S. and the other Western countries do, you can just buy it and continue on, as long as there's nothing in their contracts stopping them from putting everything through. Yeah. Like on cars being cheaper. Yeah, you got to look at total cost of ownership. And I understand maybe not the whole cost of the car, the whole life of the car. That's tough for some people. But if you just look at just the first 2 years, the first 3 years, I mean, unless you're changing cars every year, it's really easy to do the math and start to see how it compares. So it's very disappointing to see some folks say, "Oh, well, I could save $4,000 and get this combustion mobile," and then you see them in the shop for the rest of their life and burning fossil fuels. Like a good example that is in Marcus' circles, all of our friends that buy the Chrysler vehicles, the Challenger and Charger, instead of something much faster for the same price or less. Yeah. All right, so here's another one from the rumor mill you guys might appreciate. We are looking at don't mind the picture so much, because this is just like all the other renders we saw of the Model 3, the Model S, the Model X, the Cybertruck, that look nothing like, thankfully, the final cars. And but the important bit is that they claim that the $25,000 Tesla Model Next, the prototype, has been completed. And if that's the case, this was always going to be a world car, but they were going to start in China with the Chinese Tesla Chinese design. So that means that next we'll be able to see it all over the world at some point, with a little bit of a German adjustment for the European market, a little bit of a US adjustment for us. And when we look at, say, the Model 3 standard range and the Model Y standard range, and you look at how similar they were to the fully loaded car, and how little bit of a punishment mobile they could be, that's exciting, because just as Robert Williams said, the people looking at the initial cost it's really hard to look at $25,000 brand new cars if you're into brand new cars and say that that's not a good deal, especially if it's got 200 plus mile range. As Elon was saying, he doesn't want a car that has less than 200 miles of range. It's going to be a game changer, especially when you consider that once you take out the stalks and you've got your screen and there's just very little that you have to worry about. Like you don't have all these blank buttons because there are no buttons even for the high end cars. You just roll them through and then turn on the software that you need for the premium model. So I'm guessing 25 to start, and they'll run that for a year and a half, and then the price will creep on up another $1,200, and then we'll probably see it get to the bottom of the Model 3 range. So we're looking at 25,000 to say 39,000, just because the off menu Model 3 kind of comes and goes. What do you think about that, Marcus?
I, I mean, like you said, it's a game changer, and that's a sign me up. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to have a daily driver like that
Yes.
and represent it well. Not just because it's Tesla, but I mean, if any other automaker come out with something like that in that price range, for that, because
Yeah.
like I try to tell people, man, I saved a lot of money, getting up out of my Mercedes wagon,
Yeah.
spending for 90. Only put 93 octane in there. It's like my commute from work and so on. It was like every 3 days, $40 and $53. That adds up.
Yeah.
I mean, it really adds up. Then not including the maintenance when you got to do
Oil
oil
changes,
changes,
tune
brakes, and
ups.
so on and so on. Yes.
Yeah. Brakes is a good one to point out because unless you're turning off regen, which you shouldn't do, then your hybrids and EVs, they use almost nothing for brakes, and the EVs even less so. Like my Prius never needed brakes in the entire time I owned it, and I have friends in the hypermiling community that have their Prius for almost 1,000,000 miles, and they needed one set of brakes. It's not bad. The only Teslas I've seen need brakes so far, other than people who run them heavy at the track, are folks that it's not that they need new brakes; it's that they've destroyed the old brakes by never using them, and so they seize up. And so it's not exactly that they needed new brakes; it's that they every now and then you just got to just hit the brake pedal. It'll take care of itself,
So,
or you can loop them.
so that's a real thing though, because I haven't
Yeah,
I can't see the brakes as. I mean, sometimes you gotta you gotta use it. I
yeah,
just I hear that story a lot, but I haven't just physically saw that though. I think
yeah,
sometimes because I do one foot pedal, but
yeah.
every now and then I still have to hit the brakes or use them sometimes.
Yeah, same here. And then I've also found that autopilot is not afraid to use the friction. So,
Yes.
so I've never really had to go out so what they say is if you don't, I guess if you just don't use autopilot and you are very easy on the pedal, what you want to do probably once a month is get up to about 45 miles an hour and then just hit the brakes hard. Obviously, make sure there's nobody behind you, and then do that 2 or 3 times in a row, and then you're good to go. It's not a difficult maintenance item. Yeah, same thing, Eddie. With my Volts, I almost never use the brakes. So with the Bolt, what you're going to want to do is same situation. Is every now and then just use them, and then the rest of the time, what you can do if you find that you never have the opportunity is get up to 45 miles an hour, throw it in neutral, and hit the brakes hard. But again, make sure there's nobody behind you. Did that with the Mini. Yeah, I had to do it a couple times with the Prius because like they would get rusty. Yeah, so Karen's Audi, that was an interesting turn of events. She was in line for the Model S Plaid. Brian sold her car because Elon said, "Oh, hey, it'll be ready in March," and so Brian assumed April would be a good uh, time to go do the swap based on Elon rarely being on time. And I can understand where Karen's coming from, where she'd been without a car since April. It's August, and they just kept moving the numbers around. Marcus's car was the same situation, except that thankfully he had something else to drive. And you got any news on that for the group?
Oh yeah, everything's official. I take take delivery the 16th next Monday, the 16th at 1 p.m.
Nice.
So yeah, after all this wait, and I think I
All
think
is
I might put
waiting.
your order. My
You
order
put
was
your order in
Friday.
that night, right?
February, back in February the
Yeah.
1st, and
So if not that night, that next morning.
exactly, yeah. But hey, like I said, it's been a long. It gets annoying, but like one of my guys told me in the group, they told me, you mad now, but when you get it, all this gonna go out the window. So I can kind of
Yeah.
admit that when everything's finalized here,
Yeah, it'll be a
everything's finished
footnote. I
on.
mean,
So
you'll remember it, but it'll be a footnote.
so
It'll take prompting for you to remember it too.
so
Yeah.
so definitely, looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Gonna get
So I don't
this vehicle
know.
started.
I don't know that you could say that it's too small because we don't know what it looks like yet. We just know that it's going to be compact. It could have the same passenger volume as far as like the driver and front passenger as the Model 3. We can't say until we see it. Everything that people have been showing have been basically just graphed a Tesla nose or Tesla style onto other people's
Mm-hmm.
cars. So that's why I keep saying don't look at the pictures. Don't look at the pictures. Those four very popular renders for the Cybertruck, I thought they were all super ugly. Uh, they look nothing like what we saw because the Cybertruck didn't have any swooping bent stamp sheet metal. The one that they dusted off and started cycling again when the Model S refresh was coming around, that thing was impractical. Like the rear doors just would not have worked, and then the nose was super non-aerodynamic. And thankfully, it didn't look like that either. I mean, that one wasn't so bad. It just didn't look Tesla.
Fit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what
Hey,
was the other one that was really just out there that they were using?
was it the Model 3 when it first came out? I
Yeah, the
think.
Model 3 one, they messed that one up a lot too.
Yeah.
Like it was going
Can
to
I,
be
can
like
I
a Corolla with a Tesla nose. No, thank you.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah,
I learned a
absolutely.
long time ago about don't go by that because even with the iPhones, I'm a diehard iPhone lover. I've been,
Yeah,
having iPhones. People throw the different design, how the iPhone's gonna look and all that, and
yeah,
it's like nothing like that when they, So I learned that lesson. Don't go
exactly.
by
Yeah,
the picture.
sometimes they get close, but then here's the
Yeah,
thing: is even if they get it exactly right, the company could still just say, "Oh, we're using the B design now."
exactly.
Oh, especially when Jobs was around, man. They they did not like leaks. Like I
But
did
yeah,
from Police Academy.
but for 25K though, I think that's really fair in this kind of in this
Yeah,
society, for an electric vehicle that got a well-known brand, well-known brand, you know, that's not bad for a new car, honestly.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, because when you look at that's well in the middle of Civic territory right there. 25 grand base Camry, base Accord. But then when people complain about the Model 3, when you consider that it was 35 and now it's 39 to 40, uh, that's still in that envelope of the Camry and the Accord because they top out at 42. So you're still there. You're still totally there. But I understand not everybody can buy a new car and not everybody can option them all the way up. Um, and that's not an all the way up option Model 3. It's in the middle. So I think it's a Model 3 SR Plus or just a regular long range. No, the long range is 50 now.
Well, if you've been into cars like I've been into cars all my own life, and that to me that just shows you the value going up. That means apparently it's a good car. It's going up, so they're getting cheaper. Then so that's something's going right somewhere. I mean,
Exactly.
I hate the price hikes, but hey, that's just
Oh,
me.
yes. Oh, yes. I think that we'll start to see them come back down as the end of the supply constriction comes, or as long as they are able to up their battery production. I think what they're trying to do is just not hit that zero available mark, which is fine. Um, you don't want to end up with a lot of people who have never dealt with a car to order having to wait for more than one quarter. I mean, 3 months it's okay, but 6 months, 9 months waiting for a car is it's a really long time for somebody who's used to being able to just walk on down to the corner lot and pick one up. Uh, if you have ever custom ordered a car from a dealership, you might be familiar with how long this can take, but that's not the norm. And they are still in competition, even if their goal is to make everybody go EV. Who knows? if you pass on the Tesla, if you're going to get somebody else's EV, or if you're going to even stay in the market, you might get a new deck or something, and then now you don't have money for a car. I don't know.
Hey, let me say one more thing though. To be
Yeah,
fair though,
that's
by me,
tall.
with my day job, I'm in the manufacturing business. I work on products, Dyson products, and so on, and the parts and things. When the world shut down, that really put effect on a lot of things. People don't
It did.
understand like material. I mean, if I'm really into, and I see, so that's what I'm saying on certain things. I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt because sometimes things is out of their control and the way things are moving. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt on some of the
Yeah.
things.
On your microphone, if you hit the little arrow down by the mute button, there should be a way for you to adjust your volume.
Okay, sound kind of low there. Hold on.
Yeah, they're saying you're low.
Okay. I should have used my new mic there.
That would have been cool.
Next week I'm gonna have it set up for my new.
Yeah, next week. I don't want to say change in the middle. That might mess it up.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna do that.
So here's some good news. We were just talking about getting production up. The Giga Texas, I call it Terra Texas, is because of Elon joked that it's going to be called the Terra Factory, so I call it Terra Texas. They're expected to start Model Y production test runs in the coming weeks, and we've seen shakedown units come through. I guess they were either getting the line ready or testing what was already there, and so now it looks like they're going to do some ground up construction for the cars and then send them off for validation, crash test, etc., within the next few weeks. That's pretty exciting. And Marcus has seen this monstrosity in person, and man, it's huge.
Yes, that's what I was just gonna say. It looks like two airports. Honestly, man, it's amazing. Especially, how do I sound? Do I sound any different, or I think
it sounds a little louder.
What's going on? Yeah, but honestly, man, like just actually passing by, it's like gigantic. I'm like, wow, because we know it wasn't nothing there months ago. Now this, like, but it's gonna be. It looks real nice and big.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Rick Trent says it's better. So here's some unfortunate news. You've got a bit of an ego trip going on in India. So you've got the local regulators in India and Tesla fighting over what it's going to take for Tesla to operate there. And before India gives the green light, they want to make sure that local auto parts suppliers are represented. And I understand this desire on their part, but I don't know that it's the right idea to force it because, as we saw in China, Tesla was happy to use local suppliers on their own if they could meet the requirements, and they helped people get what they needed to support them for the items that they don't already build themselves, and to the point where a lot of the Tesla suppliers in China now are buying gigapresses, so they can stamp, not just stamp, but they can cast and stamp at the same time materials that are going to end up in the car. And at the same time, you want to make sure that your local people have jobs, but they are going to have jobs if they're working in the factory. So it's a delicate balancing act to get this right. And what I fear may happen is that depending on how the main negotiator was brought up, a lot of my Indian friends tell me that everything was a negotiation from when they were growing up. So depending on how aggressive they are, they may see themselves without a factory. Just get them, put it across the border, put it in Pakistan or something, and that would be a loss that they don't really need right now. I don't know. What do you all think about it?
It's hard for me to say on this one. I don't want to say the wrong thing there on this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's exactly like Terra, Texas. They put a factory there, and they can't sell the cars or service them there. You would think that they would have resolved this issue before making the investment and building cars there. on both sides, it was not a good move. I mean, I understand that Texas wants to protect the oil industry and they want to protect their car dealer industry, but they've got a insanely large employer right there that now you have to then build the cars and then take them back out of the state and then turn them around, which in my mind it makes sense to just make that nothing built in Texas will ever be sold in Texas. Just call it what it is until they get it right. And then you've got like the governor. He keeps calling session after session trying to get the focus on the wrong things. He's worried about making it harder to vote than it is to make sure that the and well, harder to vote and something else with the guns. I don't remember. Rather than making sure that this employer can operate in your state and make sure that your people have food on the table, he's more concerned with items that, yes, they may be important, but they're not immediate. If that makes sense. So politics and factories, I suppose. It's the way it is. So I was getting into a Twitter, I don't really want to say argument or sparring match. There was a guy who he calls himself a skeptic, and everything seems to turn into a argument, discussion. I'm not sure, but he made some points that I didn't agree with, and I let him know. And then he made some points that were logically accurate, and so I said, hey, that makes sense, whether I agree or not. And so then we ended up on something completely separate, which I thought was really cool. Solar powered cars in Independence, Missouri. And then he went ahead and gave me the history of this race. Let me see if I wrote it down correctly. Stand by. I didn't. Sorry. But the reason I liked it was I really got into the Australian solar car races, particularly the GM Sun Racer, which led to the GM Impact, which led to the GM EV1. And so solar cars are just something I find really cool all the way through and through. And that was pretty neat. Because without them, we wouldn't have the modern electric car. Then Simon Alvarez had a piece he wrote on Teslarati about Tesla's long road to maturity teaches a hard lesson to electric vehicle startups. This one came shortly after the Byton situation, and he talks about their difficulties with batteries, their difficulties with factories, and he's saying that others can learn from the situation, and instead of rushing to do your specs, your special purpose acquisition companies, and rushing to public market, just make the product, do your best, and then see what happens. Because what we found is that so far, most of these companies that have done the specs haven't made it. You got Lordstown, they're out. Nikola, they were fraud. Canoe, I hope Canoe makes it, but Canoe is kind of an offshoot from Faraday Future. Faraday Future doesn't appear to be going anywhere fast, and I thought that was a fun article to read. And then Purcell, he shared an article with us about Tesla's plan to open a Norfolk dealership that we talked about last week. But some folks are saying that it undermines a state law. And as we discussed last week, the law is written that if there's no third-party dealership that can do this in the public interest, then they should be fine. So at this point, it would be up to a judge to decide. And thankfully, VADA, the Virginia Auto Dealers Association, they are done with this pursuit again. So there will be 3 more Tesla stores, galleries. They're not galleries, they can sell cars. So Tesla stores. And it seems that the writing is on the wall. And I don't know that this sounds very much like Germany to me, where you've got all these environmentalists that are fighting a green car factory with all their might, and so it sounds like somebody else is actually using them as a proxy in this fight. 100,000 drivers needed. Plaid. I'm not sure what this word is. The crew move. Welsh government ad. Yeah, Ford moved a lot of their stuff to Mexico, and that might come out to bite them. That's another article we've got coming. And gotta switch some stuff here, so stand by. What do y'all think about the situation in Virginia with the auto sales?
Not fair. Not fair.
That part, that part for sure. I mean, it's very similar to what you guys have there in Texas.
Yeah, it is.
Thankfully, it's not as extreme.
Right. That is correct. Yeah.
So I've got some stuff loaded up now. Let's take a look at management relations in the IM. All right. Let's close that article. So there was a preview of a chip from a guy who's really into robotics, and it looks like this chip might be used in Dojo. And some folks have suggested this is actually a series of chips, which will you'll have several of these in the Dojo data center rather than this being a single chip. It'll be just a board with multiple chips in it. And what Dojo is the supercomputer that is training among other things. Tesla's going to use it to train the full self-driving system. They're going to train the neural nets on it. And then what's interesting about this is that the guy that shared this image is into robotics. And so folks are thinking that Tesla may have a humanoid AI robot. I don't know what they would do with it, except for maybe put it in the factory. I'm not sure. Or maybe they're going to pull a Honda and have like Asimo, just a robot to help people in their old age. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it was interesting to me. And we'll find out about this on Tesla AI Day on August 19th at 5 o'clock. I believe it's 5 o'clock. It might be 7 o'clock Pacific. I believe it was 5 o'clock. Solo car and bike museum. Yeah. I mean, all these high efficiency, low energy usage vehicles, they were just cool to me. So what do you think about robots in Tesla, especially humanoid robots there, Marcus?
I think it'll work out. I think it's something different, and I mean, yeah. I just got, I feel it may go in the right direction personally.
I don't know what they would use it for.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is the factory, or like I said, if they come off the path and use it to help out the elderly or something. It's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DHL has bought themselves a couple of electric planes. They're going to use them for cargo delivery. They bought a company called Eviation, or from Eviation. Sorry, they bought them from a company called Eviation. They're not building their own planes. We have seen these delivery companies buy factories before, though, so that wouldn't be out of the realm. So they bought 12 planes, and they're going to use them for the middle mile transportation, which means between the main hubs and like into the smaller communities. And it was a pretty cool looking plane. I mean, look at this. Obviously, they won't need any of those windows except the front one because it's a cargo plane. But hey, I mean, when you look at what uses up all the fossil fuels, most of it is commercial transport. So you got ships, you've got planes, you've got trains. And if it can be electrified, why not? Especially something like this with known routes. is going between the main hub airport and all the little feeders, so you can have a charger at both ends. And what we've seen with the electric float planes is that they tend to have a reserve on board, so they can run another hour or two with what they call the dead battery, and they can just keep on going for another hour or two just to make sure that they have the redundancy that's required. And this just takes it to a whole nother level. So rather than 8 to 20 people going on either on a joyride or going into the wilderness of between the continental U.S. and Alaska or something, this is, I mean, when you look at what's happened over the last year, the amount of packages that people have ordered has skyrocketed, and this is a good move. Thank you, Anders.
Hey, Casey, I'll check that on private message there right quick.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Private message. Okay, certainly, understand.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing that came up is the Tesla Model S long range has had a price increase in China. It's gone from 859.9 thousand yen, won to 800. Two from. So it was 829, and it's gone to 859. And again, that goes back to what we were saying with it sounding like they're trying to balance their production with demand. This guy said, "Do they even make this car anymore?" Yes, they do, but they don't have enough of them, obviously. Here. And speaking of Model S price increases, we look over here in the States, and the Model S and Model X have both increased in price by $5,000. Let me zoom this for you here. So we've also heard that the Model Y is pretty much sold out through the end of either the quarter or the end of the year, depending on your location and your options that you've selected. And then this is Panasonic's first quarter results. Why did I include that? That's why I included that. Share. All right, so Giga Nevada's 14th production line of 3 to 4 gigawatt hours is expected to start operation in August, according to Panasonic's earnings call. And so prior to this, I'd opened up their earnings results. They mentioned a 4680 prototype in 2021 in Japan the previous quarter, and this is coming from Sawyer Merritt going to Sawyer Merritt and Holmar's blog by this guy here, and that's a pretty interesting tidbit. And it'd be the first time we've seen an expansion of Giga Nevada in quite some time, because my understanding is that they're having trouble keeping enough employees at Giga Nevada. So why expand it if it's not going to be utilized by employees? So that's exciting that they are, because we need these 4680s in order for the new generation of Model Y in Giga Texas and Giga Berlin to be able to take off. And if they aren't building them at Giga Texas yet, they're probably going to build them at the battery Gigafactory in Nevada. Get this rejiggered again. I didn't open enough tabs. So Tesla's decision to open superchargers will open the opportunity to federal funding from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. This is true. We talked about this last week as a speculation, but now it looks like several others are speculating on the same thing. Share this one. So Tesla Roddy is suggesting that, just as we said, that this opens them up to some of that money that was discussed last week for furthering EVs, and I think it's a good thing, because We need more people to go EV, and it doesn't matter what they're driving, as long as it's an EV. Here we go. Coming up next, we've got Ray for Tesla is sharing my desktop. Let's do it this way. I don't know why this one came up top. But the 2022 Nissan Leaf is now the most affordable EV at under $30,000. It looks like Nissan is trying to unload these because they aren't going to have the CCS plug. And Nissan has switched to CCS from the CHAdeMO plug on their new Nissan Aria. And with the Aria, it's going to be a midsize crossover, just like is becoming popular worldwide. And I'm not sure if the next version of the Leaf, like the next model year, is going to have CCS or not, but they've already built the cars and they got to sell them. So they ended up cutting the price. And it's now $27,400 before any sort of state incentives or the federal tax credit. So let me pull up my calculator real quick. And we're looking at 27,400. I think they still get the full 7,500. So federal tax credit, that makes the car $19,900. And then if you are in a state or county that gives you up to $10,000, you're looking at a $9,900 brand new car. That's EV, and it's got a range of at least 150 miles, and it's not bad. It's still air cooled, and they introduced with this next generation Leaf. They introduced a new complication to it. You can only fast charge it once per day. So this would be definitely a regional EV versus something like any of the luxury SUVs or luxury SUVs, any of the luxury EVs or any of the Teslas, where you could, end up in a whole other part of the country by the end of the day. So that's not a bad deal, I think. An electric helicopter flying over the house on other live stream. I don't know. I've seen too many electric helicopters. I've seen one or two, and they seem super cool to me. Again, electrify all the things. So back to the Tesla price changes. That's what I thought was opening up next because it was related. Assistance from the browser. No, I'm not. Later. So he was talking about a source about the Standard Range Plus version of the Made in China Model 3 and Y. I was told the demand is gigantic, which means that the deliveries for the next several months, including August, which that'll be exciting to watch. So in China, they raised the price of the Model S and Model X, just like they did here in the States. And let me make it easier to see there. That will be interesting to see what happens with the delivery numbers. Because remember, the Model S, Elon said they're building their way back to their 1,000 vehicles per week. He didn't say that they were there. And the Model X, it's not on sale yet. So that one's going to take some time, and then it'll have to work its way back to its 1,000 vehicles per week, because it was 2,000 SX per week, and that was how they were getting their numbers on the legacy cars. And they're not really legacy anymore because they're a whole new model. They're flagships again, so that'll be interesting to watch how they balance it out, because now the Model X, I believe, is pushing $100,000 for the long range model, and even more for the Plaid. Let's take a look. Let's order one. All right, so let's turn off the potential savings. They're not useful to us. So yeah, the long range is only $10 from $100,000, and the Plaid is surprisingly affordable at $119,999, 990. And let's say when we would receive it. March to April next year.
Which one is this again?
That was the long range. And the Plaid is also March to April. So yeah, as I'm saying, it's definitely them trying to manage expectations. So if it just gets more expensive, then less people will be ready to pull the trigger and purchase this vehicle.
Isn't it anti-selling again?
Yeah, exactly what Elon calls anti-selling. Yeah.
If this keep up, everybody gonna go buy that Leaf you just put up.
Right. That Leaf was super affordable.
I said he did the numbers with you, or I did the numbers a day ago. Well,
yeah.
At least and I was like, there's only I'm in Georgia, so I was like, where's this other state rebates that I need? Who do I need to get a favor from?
Right. Well, Georgia made it super easy for the original Leaf to get a car for like $100. And so a lot of companies were giving you free cars. They would do the lease for you, and they would lease the Leaf, and you had a car for either $1 a month or free, depending on who your company was. And then what a lot of folks were doing was they were buying the car at the end of the lease, and they got themselves a nice, affordable car. It was a good deal.
I've seen a recent new Leafs. They don't look like the old Leafs. They look a
Correct.
little more aggressive.
And that's a good thing. That original Leaf was polarizing.
You had to really commit to the tree life.
Yes.
You had to really commit to it. So.
Oh, that's a great. Excuse me. That's a great point, Breakneck Trent. The Plaid X is cheaper than the Plaid S. It's also cheaper than the P100D ever was. So I have a feeling that when they start production and they start managing expectations, that they may drift that upwards as well. There are a couple of things to look at with the Plaid X versus the Plaid S, though. It has less going on. Like the rear console in the S is all new, and the X doesn't have that because the X has it still has the 7-seat or the 6-seat situation from today, and it's got the same center console with the for the armrest up front with the screen in the back of it as the Model S. So you do get a little bit of savings with the car being essentially unchanged, other than the motors and the battery pack from the previous vehicle. I do think that the front seats are different, but again, they are the Model S front seats on risers. So I'll be curious to see once they start rolling them out how close they stay to the Model S price, because in the past the Model X performance was X amount of dollars more than the Model S performance, and now, like you mentioned, that's $20,000 cheaper than the current car. That's incredible. Do you see the live stream when you went to Lidl? The store has 3 different types of charger. I did not, but that is super progressive, and it's always good to see that you can get 2 things done at once. Go get your shopping done, and then they also provide a way to boost your charge back up, because if I have 2 choices and they're a similar distance and similar pricing, and one gives me charging, I'm going to the one that gives me free charging every time.
That's happened here in Brookhaven.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Whole Foods that you can charge while you go in and shop.
Yeah.
Right up front, so it's really conducive to you actually wanting to go.
Exactly.
With extra money you're saving on gas to go spend and buy something healthier, that'll be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah. All right, so, hey, Omar. So this is an interesting claim. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know that I necessarily agree with the claim. Tasmanian is reporting that a Tesla Model 3 saves its occupants' lives after a major collision with road debris. I think it's partially luck, because when you look at this Model 3, there's a tree hanging out of the passenger door.
Okay, so would that have
Yes.
gone further in or no?
That's what I'm wondering is would it have been further in another car? So when we look at the ones that Elon likes to show us, where in the side impact collision with a pole, the Model 3, Model Y, and Model S do much better than their comparable Volvos. And the Volvo did much better than every other car in the test that wasn't a Tesla. So
Yeah, but this is like Final Destination. This thing was
right,
impaled.
that's what I was thinking when I saw it. I was like, "Whoa, what did they do?"
That thing was literally impaled. I mean, I don't think any car would have fared well in that situation.
Right. I mean,
except for maybe the Cybertruck.
Maybe the Cybertruck. The tree is
But
coming up to the screen.
The tree, yeah, it literally protruded through the windshield into the vehicle. And
the roof.
Lucky
Yeah.
or through the roof.
Yeah.
Still, he's lucky it didn't slice through him.
Right.
It sliced through that car.
Unless it might be because the metal held up. The construction between the beams might have held up, I guess.
Unless they hit that ultra high strength steel crossbeam, then it's aluminum, so it's even less than a typical car.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was super close. I mean,
whoa,
it's actually a little bloody. There's where it went through. I mean, I'm glad they made it, and I'm sure the car helped a little bit. I just don't know that the car gets all the credit.
Well, I'm sure the car helped a lot with the airbags and just the design of it, keeping the cabin area intact without it being crushed. Like, I don't know, it looked like maybe the car might have rolled over and been upside down or something, so it wasn't crushed or anything like that. So
yeah,
that part may have kept the passengers somewhat safer than their typical vehicle. However, I mean, they definitely got lucky with the way those branches like totally stabbed through the vehicle.
Yes. So I've got another one for you. The next article that was up was another reporting of the SX price increase. So we're going to move on to California is banning the Delta pumping. And in fact, I heard they are restricting the farmers, particularly the almond farmers, use of the water for a while because they're in crisis right now. And they keep saying that we're going to have climate refugees, and it's going to be a mess. Hopefully, we don't have any like water wars and stuff like that here.
That was it Mad Max they were hunting for water?
Waterworld was water, and I think Mad Max was fuel. So we can get around Mad Max by just not having problems with our fuel. Go renewable.
I think California's gonna have to figure something out. I don't know if they need to figure out how to, pump a whole bunch of water from the Pacific Ocean
and desalinate it
and start a desalination process, or at least use ocean water to fight all those forest fires they have all the time, so that they're not using up actual fresh water, because they're just probably using, whatever's available. And if the fresh potable drinking water is what they're using up on these fires, they're kind of contributing, like they're making it worse. They're like making the problem worse for themselves.
They just need to go ahead and take the salt water and then worry about the after effects later. Just start scooping it out by the tanker. Have tanker vehicles just come in and haul it out and just, I don't know.
I think you might want to desalinate it before you put it on the truck, because salt is havoc on a vehicle.
I was thinking on that later. I'm just saying for now, putting out the fires to keep.
I was thinking more so.
Oh yeah, they put out fires with salt water before, but then you have to worry about when you do that. Now you've salted the earth.
Yeah.
The earth will take care of it.
But if you're trying to grow a forest,
better than burning.
But the salty soil isn't helpful for the forest to grow back to replenish itself.
And what we saw with the mudslides, there's a major highway that's blocked now because the earth hadn't had time to heal, and there are no roots to hold it in. And so we had a large rainstorm come by, and then the hillside just washed onto the road, and now you've got a major artery is just missing.
So now I got to do a lesser of two evils. Do we want to oversalt it and give it diabetes, or just we want to let it burn to the ground? Which one?
Well, fires are natural, so at this point, it's a matter of we just want to protect the people.
Right. There is a natural process with forest fires. That the Earth kind of figured out what to do about that afterwards.
Yeah, there's some trees that can't even reproduce until they burn, and but when you have like controlled burns, you can kind of make sure that they don't just get out of control like this. And when you don't have water, it's a lot harder to do anything about it when they do go wild. Meet Kevin. Kevin Pafferath. He's got some interesting ideas. I'm curious how this all plays out because the way that California does their recalls is this could go really, really worse than it is now if they're not careful. They're going to need everybody who votes to go vote and not play around. This could be like a Brexit style situation, not quite as damaging, but as serious. And it's not a game, and they need to know what they're getting into. And
everybody do their research and
right,
and everybody needs to research the candidates and vote for the whoever's in support of their best interest.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy that so far from what I've heard of what he said, I do like what he has to say, but he's somebody who has some reason and thought. Some of the people who are also running don't have that, and it could be dangerous. I mean, the last one was 2008, so look what happened there, and then be serious about it. Breaknet Trent, you're right. The answer is prevention, because if you have a controlled burn, like you're saying, if it's only $33 per acre versus putting it out at $1,500 per acre or more, and then risking everybody's property and everybody's lives, and you've got your I don't know if they're still able to use prisoners as firefighters, but I mean they're not on a death sentence, so their lives matter as well. So it's a matter of you have to be very, very delicate with the situation, but doing nothing is not the answer, and putting them off forever is also going to make it. Eventually, that bill will come due, and as you said, that's a significant difference.
Okay, so I think with the recent movie out, this just came to my head. I think using prisoners to fight fires might work.
They've been doing that for years.
It's like I'm thinking Suicide Squad. Don't mind me. I'm thinking you might work because it'd be like, hey, you get so much time hours dedicated to this. They get a trade. You might have a whole firehouse half-time staff with. They can give back to your community because they have the actual on-the-job training. It's better.
They're not allowed to do it when they get out because they're felons. Ex-felons. Yeah, it's watch your language.
Sorry.
They
something good here.
There were two things that I heard them trying. One was to not let them actually do the work, and then two was to actually make it so they could actually qualify as firefighters when they get out.
Okay.
And I don't know.
I like the latter. Letting them qualify to be firefighters when they get out, because the problem is that what we have a tendency to do in this country, that in certain other countries they don't do this, but here in the U.S. we have a tendency to throw people away after they made their mistakes. And we just write them off as, oh, this person's a felon. They can never be, rehabilitated, or they can never turn things around and be a useful part of society again. And we totally write them off and say they should only be able to be qualified to do minimum wage jobs only and nothing else. And that's just wrong because it really contributes to the tendency of the high recidivism rate of people coming back into the system. So if they can, be rehabilitated and trained in a useful skill, and then utilize that skill to make a living, then it can steer them away from what put them there in the first place. Because now, hey, I have something to lose. I have a job. I have a life. I can support myself. I can support my family or whatever. I have a means. Now I no longer feel the need to go do these other things that
Right.
got me there in the first place.
Because if all you can do is flip burgers and it's not enough to provide for your family, and then you're looking at, I can go back to a life of crime and know that my family can eat for the day, or I can go flip burgers and they starve. It's not an easy choice, and I'm sure a lot of them, they go back to what they know reluctantly, and I mean, then you do have a small subset that become institutionalized, like they've just been in there so long that they just go back, but that's not the norm.
Especially if you look at the first time offenders, the first time they go in, because at that point, it's not the revolving door situation yet.
Yeah.
Once you've gone in and then you've gone back and then you've gone back, by the third time they become institutionalized, and then it's pretty much just a revolving door situation. Right. But if they've only been there once, it's easy to say, you know what, I made a mistake. That's not the right way to go.
I'm never going back.
That's clearly not the lifestyle that I want, and I'm going to go do this instead.
Yeah.
And I wish that, we were more so on the rehabilitation side and reacclimation to society. I wish we would put more emphasis on that than just the punishment side of things of, okay, well, they're prisoners, they're locked up, so we're just going to punish them for the rest of their lives. It's like, no, the punishment was going to jail in the first place, being removed from your family and everything else.
Right.
The punishment shouldn't be, okay, now for the rest of your life, you're punished by not being able to be,
right, because the punishment is supposed to be over by that point, and now they're still suffering from it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hopefully some things change in the future, but I don't know. That requires a lot of legislation and policy changes, and
just figuring out some way for them to help with the firefighting and possibly say go back to the forest firefighting team would be a great thing. It just helps.
It has to be legal. If it's not legal, they can't help. Just like the young lady who didn't know she wasn't allowed to vote, even though they let her cast the provisional ballot and didn't count it, and then she got 5 more years of jail because of voting fraud.
Right. Yeah. I still don't understand that part. Like she wasn't sure, so she did.
So she asked, and they said yes.
She asked, and then she said, "Well, they said, well, you can do it provisionally, and if it's not valid, it gets thrown out," which is exactly what happened.
Yep.
And then,
by the way, screw you, lady.
By the way,
and... yeah,
I don't understand that one.
It was too much. So back to, like I said, it was not going to be all in the nice little order, because what I would have done was just made a SpaceX nice little progression story, and I didn't do that. So the next thing that came up was we saw them have a Starship with all 6 engines attached to it. And so you can see the large ones with the yellow on them, they are the Raptor vacs. So they're the vacuum engines that they'll use in space to maneuver the ship. Or I guess not maneuver, but propel the ship. They can maneuver them with differential thrust, but maneuvering will be done with maneuvering thrusters. And then the center ones are the sea level Raptors, which they'll use during the launch of the vehicle. And then they'll switch over to, once they are out of, in space, they'll switch over to the vacuum engine. And that was a cool sight.
That is highly fascinating. Even the other one, 36 rockets attached.
I'm getting there. I told you it's out of order.
No, I seen the previous one from earlier when I was.
Oh, that one. Yeah, the booster with them all attached. Oh, 29. Yeah. So they're going to go to 32. And so a lot of people pointed out that it's one less than the N1 rocket. And I don't think that the N1 played into this at all for SpaceX and Elon, because we have a lot better metallurgy and electronics and testing methodology than we ever did back then, especially the Soviets, because they didn't have our kind of money to get into this. So they did the best they could with analog. So then there was another article about the Panasonic line opening in Giga, Nevada. And this one said that they may start in August. So that's this month. That's exciting. And
the more things that can accelerate the EV process to include a super cheap leaf is great.
Exactly. Yeah, better forest management would help, Robert. Xpeng is they hit a new sales record in July of 2021. Here's their lineup. They got an SUV. They got crossover SUV, and they got I guess they're both crossover SUVs, and they got a sedan. So they hit 8,040 electric cars in July in China. That's 228% more than a year ago. Yay! That's actually slightly more than Neo at 7931. So they actually only have two models on sale. Sorry, the original G3 crossover, which is that one, and the P7 sedan, which is that one.
Now, if they can increase productivity,
yeah.
I mean, because that's a popular, like the crossover would be a really popular form factor.
Yeah. And the Chinese are having an income surge, so this is perfect for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not bad little cars. I've seen a couple of reviews of them. Rich Benoit, he you guys know him as Richard Builds, and a couple others have had the vehicle over in the States to do a review. And aside from it all being in Chinese, it's a nice looking car. And their self-driving technology is allegedly stolen from Tesla completely. And then they have LiDAR and stuff, so it's not like they didn't add a little spice to it, but they got themselves an easy head start by allegedly stealing Autopilot 1 and a little bit of Autopilot 2.0. But,
did they grab some of that 2.0 as well? I knew about the Mobileye stuff, but I didn't know if they. Yeah, well, Chinese are kind of notorious for not respecting intellectual properties.
Yeah. For those of you who like to enter car contests, Dream Car Garage, not Dream Car Garage. Yeah, Dream Car Giveaway is giving away a Model S Plaid. No, it just says performance. Either way, you know how to find them. Yet another article on the Panasonic line Gigafactory.
Somebody else give away some Teslas. Didn't Omaze?
Yeah, Omaze is always giving away a Tesla.
Yeah.
Not always, but like
every lot. Time I turn around, it seems like they're giving away another
Tesla. Exactly. So the Mustang Mach-E sales are finding their momentum. In fact, I got I was going through my videos for this next upcoming deep dive video I'm making. I've come up with a new workflow, and like I said last week, I cut out the dash cam from my workflow that's sped things up a lot, and hopefully I can get it laid out and then figure out what shots I'm missing and then go finish that deep dive for you this week. But one of the videos I saved was I got cut off by a Mustang Mach-E. It cut straight across me. And then I saved it, and so I was reminded of that when I was looking at the footage yesterday. And so the Mustang Mach-E sales are finding their momentum is the whole point of all of this. They had an increase of 15.8% in July compared to June, and that brings Ford's electrified vehicle sales to 9,100. Tesla killer. There's not a Tesla killer. I don't understand. You don't need to kill Tesla. You just need to compete on your own. Your competition is the combustion cars. That's what you need to work out.
That's the thing. Everybody's comparing themselves to Tesla and saying that's their competition, and that they want to, try to outdo Tesla or whatever. But the reality is, what they need to outdo is the gas cars.
Yeah. It says in less than 1 year, the Mustang Mach-E has captured the number 2 position in sales among EV SUVs, named Electric Vehicle of the Year by Car and Driver. So I have a feeling that they would be number 3 if the Model X was on sale.
Right.
Just saying. So that's just against Model Y.
Speaking of the Model Y, you can't even get one right now. If you order one, you're looking at, I think, January next year before you get it. So, the demand is through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Nissan doesn't.
Right?
Yeah. There's no way Ford's making a profit on the Mach-E. It's not in their best interest to sell more. I think that might be what we're seeing. I mean, because...
I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah. Fast Lane Car, Tommy and his dad, they just did and one of their employees, they just did a test of all the minis. They did an old mini and then the two most recent combustion minis and the Mini E. And the Mini E was just slightly slower than the John Cooper Works. And then I think his name's Roman. The dad, he brought up a good point that he felt they probably could have made the EV their best unit, and for obvious reasons that they pulled the punches a little bit and had it come in just slightly behind the 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 combustion one.
Well,
Yeah, and
the traditional automakers have a high incentive to continue to sell gas cars and not push EVs.
yeah,
I mean, if you look at their partnerships with the part suppliers and everything, with the higher amount of maintenance that gas vehicles require, and then you look at their partnerships with their dealerships because they have that dealership model, and the traditional dealerships, a lot of their bread and butter is off the service department. It's in their best interest to keep pushing gas vehicles.
yep. And as Anders points out, the Chicago Has Ed Fund is having a raffle for the Tesla of your choice as well. And what's good about them is
Tesla of your choice, nice.
Yeah, Tesla of your choice, and you can be a little more sure of how much is going where with them because they are the charity and they're doing it themselves rather than with an agent. But speaking of who has incentive to do what, I need to hold back my my transitions until I actually have the button clicked. So again, they're in order, so this has already happened. Will the White House exclude Tesla, the number one American car producer, from its EV event? The answer is yes. Yes, they did.
Yes. Which is insane because if it wasn't for Tesla, a lot of these other EVs wouldn't really exist. We would have what? The Leaf and the Prius would probably be, like.
I don't even think the Prius, because the Prius Prime was solely a reaction to the Volt, and the Volt, Bob told us for sure that it only existed because the Roadster existed.
Right. So what would we have really? I mean,
the Leaf.
The other thing is, I mean, Tesla's the number one selling EV in America, and the most American-made vehicle sold in America. I mean, the most American-made vehicle sold in America, period. That's out of any type of vehicle.
Yes.
And yet you don't invite them to the table.
Right.
I mean, can we say lobbyist?
We certainly can. Either
UAW.
Definitely them, but also lobbies from the other makers and the fossil fuels, because you're there to promote EVs, and then you don't promote EVs all the way. And then it ended up being that they promoted, came up to, they wanted them to have a goal of 50%, and the automakers came up and said, oh yeah, we think we can do 40%. It's like, wait, what? 50 and 40.
And you're talking about 10 years from now.
10 years from now. And of that 40%, they are counting regular hybrids, not even plug-in hybrids. Regular hybrids count. The whole goal was zero emission.
They could literally within 5 years say, okay, 100% of them have to be at least bare minimum hybrids.
Right.
And they literally could do that.
They could do it right now. They refuse.
I mean,
it was sad.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. So then another thing that came up is our friend Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, has a 3-part series of an interview that he's done with Elon Musk at Starbase. They go through the factory. They talk a lot about rockets. So episode 1 is this one, and it runs for 53 minutes. And then episode 2 runs for an hour and change. And episode 3 is not out yet, but they are informative. Episode 2, Elon seemed a little spaced. But he did tweet later on and explain that his back was hurting and it was a really long day, and
Well, he doesn't sleep, so
that part too. So it's not that he was being rude or that he was not paying attention. When you're in pain, you're not always your full self, and so in order to be in that situation, I thought it was pretty good. A pretty good interview, and we'll see what episode 3 brings. But I liked both parts, and if you're into Starship or just Starship, really Starship or SpaceX or Musk, then it's a fun one to watch. CNBC, they were trying to show off the Polestar 2, and instead they ended up giving props to Tesla. They were doing a standby. Somebody had asked for the link to that video. So here's part 1. I'm going to put it in the chat. My fingers weren't where I thought they were on the keyboard, and my keyboard shortcuts ended up doing other stuff. So in the chat, when you get done watching, is a link to that video. So anyway, Polestar 2 was supposed to be the highlight of this CNBC piece, and what they ended up doing was they gave props to the Tesla Supercharger network because it's everywhere, and they didn't have the same experience with the Polestar 2. It was a great car, but they kept coming back to, man, this trip would be so much easier on the Supercharger network. And so Teslarati seized on that, and they made an article about it. and Omar and I will tell you time and again that it's super easy to make trips on the Supercharger network if you're in a country where there is a network and you stay anywhere near it, which is.
I mean, I've done many a road trip, and the Supercharger network is one of the huge advantages that Tesla still has, even with Electrify America doing their thing and these other third-party things doing their thing. It's just it's such a huge advantage that really makes the Tesla your everyday vehicle that can support 100% of your needs. Via where with a lot of these other EVs, they can't really perform the functions enough to support 100% of your needs. It's usually, I mean, they're getting there, but some of the legacy ones, like the first gen Leaf or whatever, it can do like maybe 80%, maybe even 90% of your needs, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
But there's that small percentage that it's like, okay, you need another vehicle because it's not road trip worthy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of people still like to tend to lean towards hybrids, because that's their crutch, where they feel more, they just feel more like that safety blanket is there, that, oh, in a pinch, I know I can do it the way that I've always done it. I can just go and get gas. So that's why you have vehicles, and plug-in hybrids have their place as well, where they can be very useful.
That's why I wish
they're starting to become more and more, and that's why I said before, like, that the other ambition of that 50% by 2030 is ridiculous, because if they push the hybrids, plug-in hybrids, like even the minivans, like that's a form factor that really EVs haven't even tackled yet. I mean, you have the Model X, but let's be real, the majority of the people that's buying the minivans are, your soccer moms, people with kids, and the price point of the Model X is not something that most people can afford. So if you have something like a plug-in hybrid Pacifica, or plug-in, some kind of plug-in hybrid, that right there is a space where they should do very, very well.
Exactly. And that was my experience with the Volt. Is it taught me what I could do with 40 miles, and I appreciated that. But at the same time, it gives you that backup, so you can have a car that does meet all of your needs, and the manufacturer can save some money by including a smaller battery. And I think that should have been what they pushed rather than regular hybrids, because regular hybrids aren't zero emission vehicles. So if you're trying to bring it to zero emissions, then you can't have almost zero. You need it to be zero. There's nothing about a gas hybrid that's actually zero, other
Right.
than
Whereas with the
the
plug-in
few times
hybrid,
it's running. Yeah.
right, we're like you said, like with the plug-in hybrid, like your Volt or
Right. And you can have a short range like a Prius Prime, 11 miles, or some of those BMWs and stuff that are 11 miles, and that I mean, it's not super practical, but at least then you're not insulting our intelligence by saying, oh yeah, zero emissions.
well, they said what's the average? They said the average person drives under 40 miles per day, on their regular commute, right? So if you at least shoot for the average commuter, that
and we had it in 2012
range
or 2011
with the Volt, right? With the original,
2011 or 2010 with the Volt, yeah.
So if you shoot for that range at least, and just make that the standard, okay, minimum, this is the standard. Do at least 40 miles of EV range, plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
Now you have a more of a zero emissions vehicle that for your day-to-day normal travel back and forth to work or whatever, you can literally do zero emissions.
Yeah.
And then
you have less emissions when you're on the road.
If you have to do a little further than that, then now it's basically a regular hybrid, and you're getting better gas mileage than you would have if it wasn't. But
right.
And you are putting out emissions, but at least it's a lot less. So
exactly. Yeah, and so Robert William, you're asking about Auto Park. I'm thinking you're talking about the Xpeng, and yeah, they like I said, they allegedly did steal Tesla technology, but I'm not saying they didn't come up with anything on their own. You can certainly get out of the Xpeng and then watch it park from the outside. Tesla hasn't done that yet in any form, other than maybe possibly. I don't think they even showed a demo of it, have they? Of self auto park. Smart Auto Park that Elon called it?
I haven't seen it.
Wait, the one where they brought out full self-drive and the guy goes to work at the Tesla Palo Alto headquarters. He gets out of the Model X, it closes the door, and then it goes off to park. We don't actually see it pull into the space. We just see it leave to go park. So, sort of. Car review, Slayton tester because he can't get his Model Y. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, a lot of people can't get their Model Y right now. Look at Stephanie.
I have a coworker that's waiting on a Model Y, and he can't get one right now.
Right?
He's still waiting. He's like basically in the same boat as Stephanie.
Oh, nice. He has the second oldest reservation in the world.
She's actually not the only one, but
yeah.
Although he did order his about a month after she ordered hers.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But he's still waiting.
Right, that part. So we talked about GM and their Bright Drop and how it would have an EV van that would drop off these autonomous containers to do deliveries. And so this is what that van is going to look like. GM has two new models. This one's the EV600. And so this will be full of containers that have their own like electric casters, and they'll pull up on a curb, and then like 6 to 12 containers will just come down a ramp on this thing, and they'll go to the different businesses that need deliveries, and then this mothership here will pick them back up and go. It's an interesting concept. I'd like to see it in action, and then also see it with commercial customers. But in theory, it's like say this was UPS, FedEx, or the milk truck, or the bread van. I don't know. It's like say it's a restaurant supply truck, and he's delivering food to all the restaurants on the block, and these containers all pull out and go to the right restaurants. That might make some sense. So
yeah, I'm just
it's getting closer.
How that would work, and it almost, I mean, it almost looks like a solution looking for a problem, but okay.
Yeah. So these are the containers right here. These will all go down a ramp, or actually a lift on all the ones I've seen. It was a lift that dropped them out, and then they come back. Oh yeah, so there's one for FedEx. Let's see if we can't further. Yeah, so they all have their own lift. It's an interesting concept. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out the use case for it that would make it much more efficient.
Well, because the truck can then just go and then pick up the containers later, I guess. I don't see the utility if it has to sit there and wait for everybody to do their thing, because now you've got, say this is full of hair supplies for the hairdresser, and the next one is full of just shipments from FedEx to another, and the next one's full of, like I said, the restaurant supplies. They're not all running the same schedule, so I don't understand. I'd like to see how the efficiencies work with this thing.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, like how that makes it more efficient. I guess if they're delivering to,
if they just drop them off and then later on come get the empties, that would make sense. But if they sit there and wait,
to me that would be inefficient to even drop them off and come get the empties, because then you're still utilizing more energy or fuel or whatever to double back and revisit everywhere you've already visited.
Well, what if they did it this way? Like, you subscribe, and it's like the water bottles, like they used to have for the water cooler. And so each time FedEx comes by, it's full, and it's just going to drop. And then when it's doing the drop, everybody who's empties will go leave the facility and then come back to the truck. And so he's only making one stop per day.
No, that could make sense.
But then you need double or triple the containers.
Right.
I can see it working, but I don't understand how it's going to be good business.
I guess for some commercial usage, it could maybe be.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes sense, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
so
to me, it looked like a solution looking for a problem.
Right. So as Ms. Lomax said, what about drone delivery? So this is kind of that. This is ground-based drone delivery. But also you've got the air drone delivery, which I think is the one you're talking about. And if managed correctly, I think those can work too. But then you've got...
I think drone delivery could be really pretty good. Obviously...
You don't have empties to worry about.
The AI has to be really good. They have to be autonomous, but they also have to comply with like FAA regulations and stuff and not, cause any issue there.
Yeah.
And I guess if the place that you're delivering to is close enough to their distribution centers, they could just send out the drone instead of sending out a driver, which could make, that could give you more efficiencies there.
Yeah.
Because the drone could just go, deliver the package and then fly away.
Hey, send me my prescription. They could just drop the prescription. And we've seen in Africa, the airplane drones, the ones with fixed wings, where they come and they deliver between hospitals. And it's timely. It's the one that scares me about the quadcopters and the multicopters is the noise. It's already noisy enough in a lot of these cities, but and how they're going to make sure that your packages and prescriptions and stuff aren't stolen. But I see the utility in it. I mean, you're not sending a whole truck; you're sending a drone, which takes a lot less electricity to charge.
Just being stolen, I don't think that's any different than the FedEx guy just dropping it at
your
doorstep and leaving. I mean,
this is true.
At least with the drone, they can drop it in your backyard, and your yard is fenced in, and then maybe it's even better than just leaving it on your front porch.
Right, and if it's only one or two items on the drone, then you don't have to feel as bad. Like, they don't have the privacy implications of giving you a real-time track. So, like, you can know the drone is coming down your street, and you can just be out there to grab it from them. Versus with the FedEx truck and the Amex,
the
Amazon truck,
9 stops away. Oh, it's 5 stops away. Yeah, but where?
And then he shows up and disappears before he.
Stops are.
I don't know where the stops are, and then he's gone before it ever says delivered. So it's like, and I understand that's privacy. You don't want necessarily to advertise where your employee is at all times. So it's I see where they're coming from. But with the drone, you can literally say, hey, if it only holds 1 to 4 packages, hey, you're next, and here it is. That could work. If company has a lot,
then you have the thieves that would try and like.
Oh yeah, or just the weird people who would shoot it,
shoot it down to they intercept your package before it got to you.
Some people just like shooting stuff.
That too. Yeah. I'm thinking more of the thieves that would want to intercept it.
Yeah, but that would be like the same people who are trying to
or throw up a big net or something.
But I think that'd be a lot like the people trying to rob the Teslas, because you got all these cameras and gotcha. Except it's got GPS and everything too on top of it. So if the company has a lot of outgoing packages, they could possibly never send back empties. That's a good point. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Like say a bodega, they're going to send back the empty containers and the spoileds, because like some distributors will actually, they don't make you throw away. They'll just take it back, and then here's your fresh batch, depending on what your arrangement is with them. That's a good point. There's some places, or say it's a medium factory, like maybe they do 3D printing or something, and so they'll have raw materials come in, and then they'll ship out their outgoing materials, so they wouldn't need an empty box.
Yeah. Now I could see where that would make sense.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Dan says drone hacking. Yeah, that would be another one. There's actually a short story on that, a short movie, and these two kids, they were hacking the drones, and like, so this one guy's expecting a burger to come down his chute, and it was a salad. Somebody else was doing something, and it was a yoga shake, and without spoiling it too much, that was the premise of this story, is the drone hacking. Yeah. So the next one that comes up is a continuation on what we were talking about earlier with the Tesla politics. So there were a couple places that asked. They said, "Hey, what the heck?" And CNBC got to interview Pete Buttigieg, and they said, "Hey, what the heck, dude?" And he waffled and hemmed and hawed, and a couple of different excuses came out. One is he seems to think that Teslas are luxury cars. Two, I forget what the second one was, and then the third one was that they're not union. So that was their huge problem. But they have union in Michigan, and obviously they don't care about the German union, because the Ford Mach-E wasn't on stage with the president because it was made in Mexico. So, so there was you can kind of see what they're going for. They wanted American made, and they want it to be union made. But Elon said,
why
in the past,
such a huge focus on the union?
Because the unions apparently are kingmakers. Elon has said in the past that he has nothing against them doing a union. In fact, he might even help them, but he doesn't want them to join the UAW, because the Fremont plant was UAW when it was GM and Toyota. And when 2008 came, they got dropped on their butts and to protect the core. So, that factory doesn't matter. It's a Californian factory. So he's like, they've already abandoned you once. Why would you want to, come back to them? And then on top of that, their whole mission right now is to make sure that Tesla doesn't succeed, because they don't need a transmission plant. They don't need an engine plant. They don't need any of this stuff that UAW is protecting. So now they have extra incentive to put you out on your butt again, except now they're fighting you rather than just not protecting you all the way. So he said, you want to start a union, go ahead, start a new one, but don't join that one. And he's got a point.
I mean, that is a legit argument.
Yeah, exactly. Break that trend. Unions pay politicians' bills. We're talking to the man. Okay. So this one was fun to me. I was having trouble verifying their claim, but it seems to be technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. Oshkosh is delivering the first USA electric fire truck. I think that's the cue there. Is USA's first electric fire truck, not
Is that the same company from Oshkosh, Bugatti, like that?
No, I've checked into that before, because
I'm old enough to remember that.
Right.
I'm my age here.
They also make armored cars, or not armored cars, APCs, armored personnel carriers, tanks. They make other fire trucks, construction equipment, and so I was wondering the same thing. I was like, they also make baby clothes?
Well, I know Oshkosh is a place. It is a
yes, it is.
A city in Wisconsin, right?
Sounds right.
So, I guess there's more than one company that named themselves after
the place. Yeah. And so we've seen electric fire trucks before at airports, and I'm guessing that if definitely in Europe, but I think that we saw one in the U.S. And so I think the way they're getting around that, to say they had the first in the U.S., is it's the first road fire truck. It's a regular service fire truck. It's not.
I love the idea of electric fire trucks.
Absolutely. I mean, they already make enough noise as it is, so their routes. They're generally tethered to the station. They're not going far.
Whenever they're at the station, even regular diesel fire trucks,
they're plugged in.
They're plugged in.
Yeah.
So you already have the infrastructure for shore power to begin with.
Exactly.
So it totally makes sense having an electric fire truck, and all the idling they do, because once they get to the fire, they're just sitting there idling the whole time, and that diesel engine's just running the whole time just to run the pumps and stuff like that.
Yep.
So why not use electric to do that? I like the idea of that.
Yeah, you're not polluting your community, and when they go do their shows, they're not poisoning the school kids.
And the maintenance is going to be less.
Way less. And you could probably even then use them to power other items as well while you're there. Your Jaws of Life, you can go electric instead of hydraulic. That's got to make it lighter, or at least they can do the electro hydraulic where they don't need a hydraulic line all the way back, so you need less fluid, less oil. It's electrify all the things.
I like it.
Yeah. So we talked about the 50% target by 2030, and the automakers aspire to a lesser goal of 40%. Oh, let's skip on that one because I'm tired of talking about them. So
that's just so irritating because they're including hybrids.
Yes, that part. It's the kids' commercial waiting to happen. Oh, Tesla is going to supply the energy ecosystem for new homes in a luxury community. The beauty of this is they're not retrofitting. It's going to be there from day one. So you're not going to have half a house finished up and then Tesla come by and finish it. You're not going to have, a new roof only to rip it back off to put another new roof. They're going to have power walls, charging, and solar on these houses in Porter, Texas.
That's the best way to do it, is if it's already pre-planned from the door and it's built from the ground up that way.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the most cost-effective way to do it, and it's going to be the most seamless, integrated way to do it.
Exactly. And so this is going to be at a golf course designer / golfer, Jack Nicklaus, and it's going to be at his new community in Palm Beach, Florida. There are going to be 218 homes. Okay. Yeah.
I'm surprised. Florida's usually really backwards with everything. So, I mean, it makes sense. That is the sunshine state. They do get a lot of sun.
Yeah. And Tesla's got this luxury reputation about them now. Speaking of Tesla.
Awesome. I like it.
Yes. So Tesla is reportedly going to buy BYD's new Blade batteries. It says unlikely partnership. I don't see that. Elon said, if you can make me a battery to spec, I'll buy it. They're already using prismatic cells in the Model 3 SR Plus in China, and maybe soon the Model Y in China, the Model Y standard range. So this looks like very similar to the prismatic cells, except it's new Blade technology. So why not?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what makes it a Blade is this stuff. So it looks like just like a really long prismatic is what makes it a Blade technology.
That's interesting.
I like it. More batteries. This one was one that Omar and I found in one of our groups, and I thought it was interesting. This Model X owner complains about 5 accidents with full self-driving in the same spot. I, for one, doubt that it actually is full self-driving, and 2, when you read into it, it's user error.
It's first of all, it's a clickbait headline.
Right, that part. That part. So what happened was the car wanted to go straight, and the guy thought it should turn, and so then he took over, but he did it too late. So the car is now in this hashed area, which is full of gravel and sand because people aren't driving in there, and then he slides into this rock because he has no traction. And apparently he's the 5th Tesla owner to do that in this area here. I don't see what these pictures have to do with it. They have nothing to do with it.
They have nothing to do with it.
Oh, they further cement the clickbait because those are all full self-driving pictures. And yeah, so whoops. Pay attention to what you're doing. Hands on the wheel at all times, and if the car is doing something marginally stupid, take over.
Exactly.
Don't wait on it. And if you are in the beta program, which this person is unlikely to have been, I really doubt it, because we would have seen it. It would have been all over the news.
And I highly doubt that 5 different people would have been in the beta program and would
And hit a rock.
Same exact spot.
Unless they all did it in a row.
Like it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna chalk that one up to user error.
Yeah. Use the automation
and how
responsibly.
Are you gonna say that it's really FSD's fault anyway if you took over and did something else different than what
Right.
they was doing, and then you hit.
Right. If it happened within 5,
it's not in FSD mode no more.
Right.
Took over.
Right. If it's within 5 seconds, Tesla will count it in their stats as a autopilot crash. But I don't think this was within 5 seconds. Exactly, Breakneck Trent. Human pilot error.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that happens every day on every car known to man.
Yep. The 10K EV credit will be in the broader infrastructure bill for Tesla vehicles. Here, let me share it. This is coming from Gary Black. There. So he's saying 10K EV credit will be in the broader infrastructure bill for Tesla vehicles. $7,500 plus $2,500 for American made. It's an average of 20% reduction and more than 10,000 than today. And this guy says it was a nothing burger speech. Helped Ford and GM, of course, in case you didn't hear the unions 700 times during the 10 minutes. Unions. Somebody further down pointed out that having a union-made car is the same. I think the problem is I'm looking at this a week later. Is having a union-made car is the same credit as an American-made car. So I don't know if that means that they'll get an additional 2.5 or if it replaces the American-made.
So it's an additional 2.5 for it being union-made. So they put the same value on it being union-made as being American-made. I think that's the point that the person was pointing out. It's like, you're trying to support, buy local or whatever, and you're trying to support American jobs and this and the other, and just buying American and supporting American-made factory stuff. But yet you're putting the same value on it being a union job versus it just being an American job.
Exactly, which is more important, really, that you want to make sure your money is staying in the country. So I would go for that over the. And I understand, what a union can do, but does this union meet the goal of what they're trying to do? And I'm not saying if you're a member of it, that's a bad thing. I mean, that's something hopefully that you were able to choose to do. So Eddie will like this. Rivian has done a video showing the electric pickups off-road capability, but it's still late. There's no link to this video. There's a picture from the video.
So Rivian, I mean, they keep pushing back their production, and then they're trying to build more factories before they even have the first vehicles rolling out of the first factory. I just don't understand them right now.
Right.
First drive with a customer. Is it really?
Okay, so it's got music. So they're talking about their first test drive. I guess these are reservation holders. I mean, it's a nice looking truck. I've seen it in person. I was impressed. It felt like a Land Rover, but not dirty, and physically dirty, but not not dirty air. And then right when I was about to get some more time with the engineers, Rihanna came by, and so they kicked everybody out. So I mean, yeah, she's a star and all, but show me you're not salty, eh?
I mean, it's great. They have a commercial.
Essentially, that's what it became, yeah.
I mean, but I'm still waiting for them to start delivering to customers. I want to see these things on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they make a pretty compelling product that a lot of people are going to like.
Yeah.
They just have to get them out there.
Exactly.
But like Elon said, mass production is really hard.
Yeah.
Making one-offs and prototypes and hand building a few that's child's play compared to mass production.
Exactly. And then Dan brings up a point on our last topic about the used car rebate. I do believe that was something they said they were going to do, right?
I
On
thought that was
EVs?
something that they were talking about doing, but
Or is that in the infrastructure bill that's not yet passed?
I don't know. I know, like in the state of New Jersey, for example, they don't charge you sales tax for buying an EV. So
New or used?
if it's new or used,
Nice. That's the right way
so
to do
that
it.
can definitely save you some money there.
Yeah. So this Model S Plaid is coming in on an 8-second quarter mile, and somebody argued with me that it's not 8 seconds if it's 8.9 seconds. In drag racing, they drop the point. So yes, it is. If you get a 10.99, that's a 10-second car all day long. So this one came in at 9.247 seconds, with a trap speed 152.09 miles per hour, which is quicker than the Bugatti Chiron Sport. Chiron?
Sure, I don't know.
Either way, those are the three ways I hear it said all the time. And yeah,
I think I've heard it Chiron. I don't know, but
yeah, it also depends on your accent.
Yeah. However you want to pronounce it, the fact of the matter is, it's quicker than a Bugatti.
Yeah, a Bugatti. Anyway, it's coming, and then there was the video of it actually doing.
But wait,
it.
How much does a Bugatti cost?
$2.something million, right?
Right. And how much is the Plaid?
140, unless you're looking at the X, and then it's 119.
140K.
Yeah, yeah.
So, right. So you get the 4-door car that you could use as a daily driver,
right?
And it's faster than the purposely built sports car that's multi-million-dollar vehicle that you're only going to use at the track or to look pretty, and it's not practical for everyday regular driving.
Exactly.
Right.
So
and the oil changes probably cost, probably after 4 or 5 oil changes, you done paid for a Plaid.
So most of the Bugatti oil changes I've looked at were between $30,000 and $45,000. Yeah, it won't take long to make it up in oil changes.
Right. So after 4 oil changes,
you bought a whole nother car that's actually faster.
You spent enough money to buy a whole nother Tesla, which, by the way, is faster than the car that you're doing the oil changes on.
Yeah. And the garbage truck, did we see that one? Yeah. We covered the garbage truck 3 weeks ago, something like that. Toyota hydrogen. I'm over hydrogen. So the Tesla Gigafactory Berlin's critics had themselves another pass at Tesla, and they failed. The lawyer was trying to do all they could to make it not happen, and the judge was like, "Yeah, nah," and
so I want to know who's really behind that, because it
follow the money.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, follow the money.
Like, you're literally fighting tooth and nail against a humongous factory that's going to provide all these jobs for people, that's going to make the vehicles locally, that's then going to contribute to your whole economy.
Yeah.
And they're making vehicles that are a lot
right. So if they succeed, actually, then that means
vehicles. It's not even
right. Yeah. So if they succeed, that means that the Tesla will then just continue to import cars. Which, right. So now the cars are still there, and you've lost all the jobs.
Right. So, like, what's the benefit from that?
Exactly.
Besides, whoever's bankrolling it, which might be the German automakers, maybe. BMW.
Oh, it's definitely them. But also, like Andrew says, I think it's also the oil. So
it could be
between the two of them,
and it definitely could be the BMW, Audi, and Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
They're definitely feeling threatened.
Yeah.
I finally saw a Taycan in the wild.
Oh, me too. I was pointing out we were getting ice cream. I was pointing out to my wife that about they had the 2 charge ports, and then how you would open the front because you swipe all across the front.
This one I actually saw on the highway. So we were driving, and
nice.
I'm like, oh wow, that's a Taycan.
Yeah. So when we got back from getting the ice cream, it was gone. So I didn't check the Sentry mode to see if they waved or anything. I should have. So this one is coming from. Oh wait. So what I was saying about the I think that those environmental groups are being the useful idiot. They I don't think that they realize that they're being played. As Khaled would say, congratulations, you just played yourself. Tina Casey wrote this article about futuristic farmers deploy solar power to farm for microbes. So it was an interesting piece for me, kind of like full circle. You could cut this out to save even more CO2, but it's not as bad if you've got a carbon capture. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of people off of meat anytime soon, so might as well reduce their impact. But you could participate in like a Meatless Tuesday or something.
So a new vegan spot just opened up.
Oh, nice!
In Atlantic City by me. So
I'll have to try it.
I paid them a visit, and that was nice.
Oh, they were good?
Yeah, they're actually. What's amazing is some of the dishes they have there, you would not know it was vegan had you not gotten it from a vegan spot and just knew.
Nice. Like, that's my favorite.
The flavor was like, I mean, it was excellent. I was just like, wait a minute, this is not meat, right? Like, I thought it was a.
Yeah. I like it when they do that. So Volkswagen's Herbert Diess is criticizing Ionity's charging experience, and so are all of Ionity's customers. The Ionity CEO a few years ago, he was sharing that picture of, if you've ever seen the flooded Tesla supercharger picture, and if you look at it and you see it's a Gen 3 European station, he was sharing that, and then his own customers turned around the picture and showed on the other side of the lot the Ionity flooded chargers, and then they all continued to beat him upside the head about how bad the charging experience is. And so now you've got the Volkswagen CEO was saying how bad they are. They are anything but a premium charging experience.
Wow.
Those in glass houses, eh?
Right.
Oh. And then back to that 2022 Nissan Leaf, they have a lease deal of only $89 a month.
Really?
Yeah. So this is only for the base Leaf S, and in New York, LA, San Francisco, Houston, and Maryland.
So does the base model still not come with the DC fast charging port, or does it now?
I don't know. But even so, like, the whole point of the fast charging with the Leaf is that it won't have any place to fast charge soon. So,
which is probably why they're slashing the prices.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hoping is that the next model year comes with CCS, and then after that,
I'm sure that's what they're going to be doing. I think they're trying to get rid of all the ones they have out now, just to get rid of them. Yeah. And then I think the next version is going to be CCS.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping is that there's a way for enterprising folks, like, say, the Electrified Garage, to retrofit the existing, the original Gen 1 and the Gen 1.5 that we have now, Leafs, with the CCS port, if the new one has CCS. That would be really cool to see.
That would.
I'm not counting on it because it's probably software.
I wouldn't count on that, but that would be pretty cool. No, but I'm just saying that $89 price is so compelling. I might go get me one.
Yeah, right. It'd be a good commuter car, good kids car.
I mean, that's a nice little just little round of town. Little. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat that price.
Right. This one. How about some irony here? JD Power ranks the Tesla as second for in-vehicle tech, just behind XPeng Motors. And remember, like I said earlier, XPeng allegedly stole the Tesla technology. So
yes, they did. From the videos that I've seen, that absolutely ripped off Tesla, but
Right.
okay.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Yeah. So they made a press release about it and everything. I wonder if this is just the JD Power China or something.
well, I mean, it's not like they're selling Xpeng here in
Anywhere
America.
else. Yeah.
So where else are they selling them at?
Couldn't begin to tell you.
China. I couldn't tell you where else they.
Maybe Europe.
I don't know if they're selling them in other places. I know they're definitely selling them in China.
Yeah. So the Tesla Cybertruck steel supplier has a $1.7 billion Texas facility that is almost ready. Because as we know, the Cybertruck is made of stainless steel, and you'll need the steel to come from somewhere.
You're gonna need a lot of steel.
A lot of it. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. It's steel mill. Before it gets dirty.
I mean, listen, they have to have their supplies, right?
Exactly.
So they got to get that all lined up. So that's good to see that that's coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
When am I getting my Cybertruck?
Right. All right. So I had another one.
So the rumor. So initially, Tesla was shooting for.
Oh yeah, that I didn't even put that in because it happened this morning.
Tesla was shooting for fourth quarter of this year to start building the Cybertruck initially. Now it's been confirmed that no, that's pushed back till next year.
Yep. So, wait, yeah.
Sometime in 2022 is when.
I thought I didn't do it, but I did it.
Rolling out.
I did it, boo boo. If you try to complete your configuration now, it says you'll be able to complete your configuration as production nears in 2022 on the order page. And my favorite was somebody asked him how it was going to happen, and it's not on there anymore. But so he responded. Oh wait, maybe if I click on this. Either way, the guy asked him, "How did you know?" And the guy he pointed out this picture right here.
He's like, "Yeah, the picture that I posted." How do you know that's the case? Because I just showed you the screenshot.
Right.
That where it says it.
Right. Tesla.com, baby.
From the official source, right straight from the horse's mouth.
Exactly. Dude.
Hey.
How's it going? Hey. How was Disneyland?
What's happening, Doctor?
Disney World? I don't know which is which.
That was nice.
Okay.
Having such a good time listening to you guys. I figured I would speed home and see if I can get in for a few minutes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
I checked your show notes. It's going to be more than a few minutes. You got a lot still to go through.
Indeed. So this one is Volkswagen's ID.5 GTX is going to be unveiled in September. They quote them as saying, "Elegant athleticism meet efficiency." And then the Twitter comments were people like the paint job, but they didn't like the car. Other people were like, "Is the car going to make it on time?" And others were like, "Is the software going to work?" I say, hey, more EVs the better. Hopefully it has a frunk this time around, and hopefully they were listening to Sandy Munro's criticism of their ID.4 and have made the necessary adjustments because they could use them. I think that is kind of a trippy paint job.
I would definitely be interested if they keep that paint job.
That would be sharp. I wouldn't want it over the windows.
Glass on the windows and everything. Yeah.
That's definitely got to be a wrap.
Yeah.
Another wrap job. There you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have it on the windows to match, which is
kind of cool, actually.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a legal tint in California, but
it probably is. A lot of them perforated.
Yeah. A lot of places. Well, I don't know. Is it illegal to tint the rear windows? Because
it's a truck, so it's a truck, so the rear can do all you want. Yeah.
Yeah, because the front's not tinted, so I think
your front's not tinted.
I think you're good.
Yeah, because it's not a car; it's a truck. I find it interesting they did a whole photo shoot, but they're still not showing you what it looks like for real. They're like, let's disguise the lines a little bit. But let's go to this architecture museum and take a photo. Or several photos. It looks nice. I mean, if it's like anything like the ID4, it'll be slow but affordable and practical, and but at the same time, it can't be too slow. They took the time to put a
spoiler
on it. Yeah.
Well, that's just for the look.
Yeah.
You sure it doesn't need that extra downward force?
I think it might, and I don't think it's necessary for downforce, but to clean up the air behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it just gives it more efficiency on the highway.
Yeah. Anders is saying you can pre-order the Xpeng in Norway. That's right. We had an article on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 6.9. I'm not sure what the 6.9 is referring to at this point. Maybe, yeah. That's not terrible. There's 60. It's not fast by any means. That doesn't like the new Land Rover Defender. I would like to see a plug-in hybrid Land Rover. I think I saw inklings of it happening. Give me some plug-in hybrids. Give me some electrics. So this one is another one that came up in our groups, and I simply titled it, as I would saw, "Let's debunk this garbage."
Oh, this one. I was in line for the Spider-Man ride when I was responding to this.
What are they talking about? What service are you paying for on an EV?
I mean, even on my fossils, I just had oil changes and I didn't have brake jobs on the first year, just oil changes. Maybe tire rotations.
That's what I mean. When they say service, what do they mean? Do they mean like regular maintenance?
I don't understand, because on the EV, the only thing you're doing is tire rotations. What else are you doing to an EV in the
washer fluid?
You gotta top off your wiper fluid.
Oh,
yeah,
I just got to notice that mine is
wiper
low.
fluid is expensive. Yeah, that,
right.
I might cost you a whole $1.
but I mean, washer fluid and tire rotations, you have to do your fossil car anyway. So
the washer fluid, man, that's like $2 a bottle.
Yeah. So I actually read this article, and it's part of the problem is that it takes longer to figure out what's wrong with an EV, so they charge you more. I guess it's more of the takes time.
But during the first year, it's under warranty.
Not during the first year, nothing's going wrong with it.
That's what the article says. That's why I said this article.
So if you're under warranty,
article is full of stupid sauce.
Yes,
that's how I describe it.
Right? Because wait, the first year you're under warranty. So what are you paying for? Exactly. So if something does go wrong, first of all, nothing should go wrong. But if something does go wrong, it's under warranty. So you're not paying for it. So exactly what are they talking about?
Right. Or
it's just feeding into what people already think about EVs. They're expensive. When I tell people I drive an electric car, the first thing they say is, when that battery goes out, oh man, that's $20,000. And so they just think they're more expensive in every possible way. And it takes a long time to talk people off of the cliff that actually they're less expensive over time.
You're right. When I tell people I've had my Model S for 7 years and I put 130,000 miles on it, they're like, "Oh man, how many times have you had to change the battery? How much does that cost you?" And I'm like, none. Why would I need to?
Why would I change the
battery?
Well, like on mine, my entire air conditioning system went out. It was a sensor. $30. Done. I'm back on the road.
$30. That's pretty good for your AC system.
Well, my
air
conditioning went out on me on my Model S, and it did cost me some real money.
But yours was after 7 years.
Well, that's true. That is true.
So literally, I just walked in the door.
But it cost me about $500
from the second leg of a 400-mile trip.
Right.
One supercharger stop, it was $30.
Not bad.
I did the math with my girls, how much it would have cost for a gas car. It would have been $90. Gas is $5 a gallon in California. So it just costs less to drive an EV.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, so the battery lasts longer.
Somebody asked me the other day. The funny thing is, I went the other day. Somebody pulled up. Somebody followed. I guess they saw me in my Tesla, and they were curious about the Tesla, right? Yeah. So I was parking at a sub shop where we were about to pick up some food. So I park, and a guy pulls up in a Hummer, right? And he's like, hey man, that's really nice car. How long have you had it? How do you like it? Blah blah blah. And he's asking questions about the EV because he's curious. He's like, yeah, I'm looking at getting one of those for my wife and this, that, and the other. And he's asking some questions. One of the questions he asks is, man, how much should your electric bill go up from that? And I looked at him. I said, well, how much do you spend in gas?
Right.
It's because the fuel cost for electric is way less than gas. So whatever you're spending in gas, maybe at most you'll spend a third of that.
Yeah.
On your electric bill. And he's like, wait, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, really.
Exactly. And like to the whole battery question, I did get a new battery on my Model S. But it wasn't because I needed a new battery. It was because Tesla didn't want me driving up and down the highway 16 hours at a time to swap out a 90-day battery. They took mine out and they sent it off to the factory to get refurbished. And then they said, hey, just keep that one. It's a new one. It was the loaner, but now yours is the loaner, and have a nice day. So it wouldn't have actually been a new battery had I not, had I lived closer to the service center. It would have been like, hey, your battery's back. Come bring our equipment back.
So wait, so the battery they put in your car was refurbished previously?
I think it was because it didn't have the same miles as the one I sent off. Right. It was like 10 miles short. So let me get this
straight. You mean to tell me they took a battery out of someone's car and didn't throw it in the pit somewhere?
Right, that part.
Right.
They actually used it again in another car?
These toxic batteries, they're just filling up landfills full of...
No,
really?
Just put it in another car. Unlike the gas after it's burned.
What's funny is
it's into another car.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is it's so contradictory to what they say. They say, oh, those batteries are going to cost you $20,000. Oh, yeah, by the way, those batteries, they're filling up landfills with them. They're so toxic and this, that, and the other, and they're wasting. So you mean to tell me that something that's worth $20,000 if mine goes bad, they're going to take that unit that's $20,000 and they're just going to throw it away in a landfill,
in the trash.
Just throw that in the trash. Just throw
they're going to pay to throw it away in the trash because that's heavy. So the trash man's not going to come just take it.
Right. So just that doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, you don't think they would refurbish that and reuse that or recycle it and get all the materials back or whatever? Because if it's something that's that expensive, you would want to somehow reuse it. You're not going to want to throw that away. You're not just going to want to throw $20,000 in the trash.
Exactly. Eddie brings up a good point. So many free charging spots. But like with the Nissan Leaf batteries, the ones we saw that died from the heat because Nissan didn't think that it was important to actually make sure that things could survive the heat. So that they go from like 110, 189 miles range, whatever. They go down to not 189, but just 89. No one in front. They go down to like 25, 40 miles of range. And what happens? People stick them onto their solar panels. They stick them onto their hobby cars. They don't, even those are still worth some money. In fact, some of them are still worth more than the car.
Right.
So not only have they outlasted the car, they're worth more than the car, as I think Anders was the one who pointed that one out. And even then, if you recycle them, you get the materials back out from recycling them. So nobody's throwing these things in the landfill.
Yes, and there's no. But yeah, Mike. So yeah, the one we just the Tesla we just drove to LA and back was, what is it now? We got it in January and it's August, so it's just 7.5, 8 months old. There's no maintenance. There's nothing.
Right. They even got rid of the annual service requirements. So the 1 year, 2 year, 4 year, gone.
There's nothing. We spent money on wrapping it because we wanted it wrapped, and we got the wheels powder coated and all that fancy. She wanted a special look to it.
And none of that's unique to an EV.
Right.
I mean, people do that to gas cars all the time.
Right.
And like on my car, I can't even rotate the tires because then you can't turn because the front wheels are smaller than the back wheels. So at 4 years, I'll change the HEPA filter, and the whole time I'm topping up the wiper fluid and changing the wiper blades. But again, that's not unique to EVs. And
guess what you won't be doing in 4 years?
Sad.
Probably not changing the brake pads.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
I was just about to bring that up. My 7-year-old Model S. Well, actually, it's an 8-year-old Model S. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
8-year-old Model S with over 130 something thousand miles. Never had a brake job.
Nice. How often did you have to do the brake fluid on that? Ever?
I did it once.
Once. Okay. How long?
Just because I just thought it should be done. I was just like, I think it should be done.
Yeah.
I think I was like 4 years in, and I was just like, I think I'm just gonna have the brake fluid flushed out and replaced.
Yeah. In fact, Tesla doesn't even really offer to change it anymore. They offer to test it to see if it even needs it.
Right.
Like, yeah. Hey, that oil could stay.
I think I wasted money when I did that.
Right. That's right.
Just to beat this dead horse one more time.
Go ahead.
I mean, as far as EVs, but then there is Tesla, who it looks like their goal is to sell you a car and never deal with it again. It's just done.
Like, what are you back here for? We sold it. Right. What do you want?
Yeah, their goal is.
Do you want another one? We'll trade it
in. Right. And it's really easy to do if you want another one. Just get online and get one.
Yeah. It takes just seconds. You log in and you say, request a quote.
It takes seconds to order, but you might be waiting for 8 months to get it.
Oh, I meant the quote. The quote, it's even quicker to get a quote than it is to order and buy a car from them.
Right.
Yeah. So Austin Tesla Club,
company is drafting new plans.
They have reported that, according to their local news company, the KXAN,
and is joining us live in the newsroom. So what
the Boring Company has met with their local government, and they're discussing a potential transportation tunnel from Giga, Texas, to the airport to downtown.
That would be awesome.
That would be super cool. And in addition to Austin, San Antonio is also in talks.
Ooh.
Yeah, that comes from Express News.
It's going to be big.
Wouldn't it be difficult for them to do? I think.
Difficult to what?
Wouldn't it be difficult for them to dig tunnels in Texas? Something about the type of ground they have, because like houses don't even have basements there. So
right.
Like, isn't it more difficult to dig there?
You just put the right cutting head on it.
Do you have like lime rock or something, or?
Yeah, just put the right cutting head on it.
I don't know about Texas, and I'm from Louisiana, and you don't, once you go down a few feet, you're basically in water.
You're hitting the water table there.
Yeah, hitting the water table there. Texas is not different. A little different. I guess more northern Texas, you're okay, but South Texas, Houston, forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, isn't Houston below the
water level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, really, tunnels are waterproof. So once you
they do build tunnels through underwater all the time, like
all the time. Yeah. So you just pump the water out as you're digging it, and then you're good to go.
If you're ever gone through the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel, you're going underwater.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Yeah.
The tunnel in the UK and France.
Yeah. Yeah. So they
I did the one in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Elon shared this picture, and it goes back to what I was talking about, where I didn't really put anything in order with this Starship. It's stacked.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And so he said minus the lift. So I guess he got them to fold his lifts down. The largest rocket ever.
Better than Bezos' rocket.
That right there is the largest rocket ever.
Yep. Bigger than the Saturn V, more thrust. And then somebody said the next thing to do is just to get it in space. So make it the largest flown rocket ever.
Right.
But it's true. I mean, right now it's the largest rocket ever. You can't dispute that. The only thing you can add on to it now is the largest flown rocket. And that's still held by the Saturn V.
That's stinking impressive.
Yep. In Sweden, Stockholm, it costs the same. Gasoline's 95 octane is $7.34. Diesel is US 7.62 cents. Hey, that sounds like California pricing.
Yeah, welcome to Cali.
Nice. And that's per gallon or per liter, Anders? For the $7?
That's got to be per gallon, compared.
One would hope, because if it's per liter, that's woo-wee.
that can't be per liter.
All right, so some more pictures from Elon of the historic moment. So they were just doing a fit test to make sure that the Starship rocket fit on the Starship Super Heavy booster to form the Starship Super Heavy system. And it did. Wow.
I want to see that sucker fly.
Right? And what did they say? It's 69 meters, and this is booster number 4 and ship number 20.
Maybe all gonna get recovered.
No, these are all gonna be wasted.
Really? That's unlikely.
Well, in interview part 2, he said that they're not making any attempt to recover it. Now, that's not to say that that they're not going to try and tow back the wreckage, but because there'll be stuff to be learned from it. And these are the lifts he was saying that he had.
Not only that, I mean, just materials alone, you can probably
you recycle it. I mean, that's
recycle that and you reuse a lot of that. But
yeah, because this table right here that they're all sitting on, the table weighs 300 some odd tons. So you can only imagine what the rest of it is.
Yeah, I think that table, they said it was like 389 tons or something.
Yeah, almost 400 tons. Yeah. And so this, there's going to be arms on this tower that are going to catch it off to the side. So probably off to, in the photo, to our left. He'll catch it off to the side, and then he'll stack the booster, and then he'll stack the ship. And so you can see this might be the grab point. But it's definitely under the grid fins. Let's see if I can zoom in. Can I? No, I can't.
So
but under the grid fins, there's 2 nubbins that they grab it by. See if I have another picture.
That'd definitely be interesting. The
fact
fact
I do have another picture.
The fact they have the grid fins to be able to bring some parts of it back and just basically fly itself back down or glide back down is kind of cool.
Well, it's fully reusable, unlike the Falcon 9. So the whole thing's coming back.
The whole design is for the whole thing to be fully.
Just not this first one. This first one's going in the ocean.
Right.
So underneath the grid fins, you see this structure right here. This little nubbin. There's 2 of these, and they'll get hoisted by that onto the launch mount. It's almost done getting all of its tiles, and so hopefully this month they'll be able to do it. Somebody said FAA clearance takes 30 days, but that doesn't mean they didn't already request it. So they were shooting for July on Elon time, but the actual goal was always August. So we'll see if they make August, and if they do, this is going to be awesome. I mean, look at the men there. It looks like the old ironworker eating lunch.
Is that why they purposely did it black and white?
Yes, it looks like they're building a skyscraper.
Mm-hmm. Just as big as a skyscraper.
It is.
Some kids gonna go, when was this at? And they're gonna mistype it or misdate it, thinking it's an old picture.
$1.49 per liter plus VAT of 20%. Good gracious. Yeah, we really do have cheaper gas prices because that
we expensive. Do we subsidize it here.
Unfortunately, we do. Yeah, that gas price was Dawood's price in California. Our price elsewhere is much cheaper. Don't ask me how much because I don't know.
But what's crazy is, so we subsidize it here in America because we like cheaper gas prices. What people don't realize is, where do those subsidies come from? They come from
taxes.
Federal money, the government. Mm-hmm. Well, where does the government get their money from? Taxes from us. So everybody's paying for. Never mind. It just.
Don't get it started.
It's so irritating.
Yes.
The bait and switch and how they do it is just so irritating. It's just...
All right.
It totally is. And so you're now all caught up for the week on the EV and Tesla news. Anybody got any questions before we go? Anybody got anything to plug? Aside from the cars themselves.
Wait, where is it at? SpaceX.
So on the 19th for AI Day, I'm not sure if they'll be here or if it'll be at the Tesla Life show. But keep an eye on my Twitter and this G-Custom, at G-Custom. And we will do our best to cover that. Hopefully there's a live stream. And Elon's already said it's going to be more of a recruiting event. So don't expect too much. But since he's going to be recruiting nerds, we're hoping that there'll be some juicy details shown. and we'll see what happens with that. It's a pleasure. And so I'm going to leave you guys with a video, and we'll catch you on the flip side.